The standard ECG has 12 separate leads, 6 limb leads and 6 chest leads. The limb leads are recorded using arm and leg electrodes or carefully positioned electrodes on the patient's trunk. The 6 chest leads use electrodes placed at 6 different positions on the patient's chest. All 12 leads measure the same cardiac electrical activity, but from different angles. This produces slightly different waves or tracings for each lead on the ECG. The result can be likened to pictures taken of the heart from different viewpoints. Each picture is of the heart's electrical cycle but uncovers something that may not be clearly seen from another view. Einthoven's triangle is the triangle formed by the electrodes placed on the left arm, right arm, and left leg to obtain the limb leads. The 6 limb leads form intersecting reference lines that lie in a flat frontal plane. The 6 chest leads, on the other hand, form intersecting reference lines that transect the patient's chest in a horizontal plane. The chest leads are numbered consecutively from V1 to V6. V1 is placed just to the right side of the sternum, and subsequent placement of electrodes progresses toward the patient's left side. This results in the first leads, V1 and V2, being positioned over the right side of the heart, V3 and V4 oriented over the interventricular septum, while V5 and V6 are positioned over the left side of the heart. The lines of reference for the chest leads pass through the AV node, exiting through the patient's back. The waves on the ECG correspond to the wave of depolarization that passes through the myocardium. If the wave of depolarization in the myocardium is traveling toward the positive electrode of a lead, the tracing will deflect upwards, a positive deflection. If the wave of depolarization in the myocardium is traveling away from the positive electrode of a lead, the tracing will deflect downward, a negative deflection. Different pairs of electrodes are used to obtain the different leads. If one positive and one negative electrode form the lead, it is said to be bipolar. 3 of the 6 limb leads, lead 1, lead 2, and lead 3, are bipolar, and 3 are said to be unipolar, AVF, AVR, and AVL. AVF, AVR, and AVL leads use the foot electrode, right arm electrode, and left arm electrode respectively as the positive, while channeling the other 2 electrodes into a common ground with a negative charge. The lines of reference formed by these augmented leads intersect at different angles than the lines of reference formed by the other limb leads. The result is 6 lines of reference occurring every 30 degrees and lying in a frontal plane. The standard ECG. The heart is a hollow 4-chambered muscular organ that is roughly the size. The standard ECG has 12 separate. Abnormal heart sounds are referred to as murmurs. 2 examples of murmurs are valvular insufficiency and valvular stenosis. You may compare normal, insufficient, and stenotic aortic valves by clicking on the buttons. A normal aortic valve only allows blood to flow from the left ventricle into the aorta when the ventricular pressure exceeds that in the aorta. Closing of the aortic valve produces the DUP heart sound. Valvular insufficiency is a condition in which the cusps of the valve do not form a tight seal when the valve is closed. Aortic valvular insufficiency results in an abnormal sound during ventricular diastole. Valvular stenosis is a condition that results from abnormal constriction of the valve's ability to open fully. Aortic stenosis can be heard during ventricular systole. Myocardial infarction, commonly called a heart attack, is one of the leading causes of death. A myocardial infarction occurs when a coronary artery becomes obstructed, resulting in a blockage of the oxygen supply to a portion of the heart muscle. Now let's zoom in to observe the events that occur during a myocardial infarction. Because the heart must continually beat, the coronary arteries serve a critical role, supplying the constantly active heart muscle with oxygenated blood. As we zoom in to observe the interior of this diseased coronary artery, notice the partially restricted blood flow due to the atherosclerotic plaque in the arterial wall. If part of this plaque ruptures, a thrombus forms and may grow and occlude the vessel. The thrombus detaches, causing an embolism, obstructing the blood flow through the artery. Since the supply of blood has been obstructed from reaching the region of the heart supplied by this artery, the myocardial cells become ischemic, resulting in damage to the heart muscle. Symptoms of a myocardial infarction may include shortness of breath, tightness in the chest, intense prolonged chest pain, nausea, fainting, and intense sweating, pain in the left shoulder, arm, jaw, and back. This is a generalized vascular loop. It begins with vessels that leave the heart's left ventricle, then passes through a capillary bed and returns to the right atrium of the heart. You may examine the structure of the vessels at specific points and observe the blood pressure at those points by clicking on the parts of the loop. Arterial. Continuous capillary. Fenestrated capillary. Large artery. Large vein. Medium-sized artery. Medium-sized vein. Venule. The heart is a hollow four-chambered muscular organ that is roughly the size of a clenched fist. It is located within the thoracic cavity and between the lungs. The heart's main function is to pump blood throughout the body. To understand more about how the heart functions, select a topic below. The heart operates as two parallel pumps. The right side of the heart circulates blood through the lungs. The left circulates blood through the other parts of the body. The heart's contractile activity results in pressure changes that propel blood through the circulatory system. These pressure changes occur in a cyclic nature and are referred to as the cardiac cycle. The conduction system transmits electrical impulses via specialized cardiac fibers, ensuring that the heart muscle contracts in a coordinated fashion. During the cardiac cycle, specific electrical events occur that can be picked up by electrodes placed on the surface of the body. An electrocardiogram is a graphic display of the heart's electrical activity. The standard ECG has 12 separate. The heart is a hollow. The closing of the valves in the heart produces sounds that are often described as lubbed up. The lub is produced by the closing of the AV valves. The dup is produced by the closing of the semilunar valves. A portal system contains two capillary beds in series. Blood flows from the heart through the first capillary bed, where it then drains into a portal vein. The portal vein carries the blood to a second capillary bed that drains into a vein that returns blood to the heart. The hepatic portal system is one example of a portal system. Its first capillary bed is located in the intestines and the second in the liver. An arteriole is cut in transverse section. Notice the thickness of the muscular tunica media. This is a histological image of cardiac muscle. The plane of this section resulted in a view of the longitudinal axis of the muscle fibers. The large arteries, such as the aorta, are of the elastic type. Note the distinct elastic fibers' concentric arrangement. This photomicrograph is of a medium-sized vein. Note the poorly developed tunica media. This histological image is from a section through the heart wall and includes fibers that are part of a specialized cardiac conduction system. These fibers are called Purkinje fibers. The vessels of the cardiovascular system are found throughout the body. In this histological image, an artery, vein, and nerve are located together in the adventitia of the colon.